Hello and welcome to Louie's Fun Drawing Times. A lot of people have been asking for a process video or a tutorial on picking color, doing backgrounds, you know, that kind of thing, what kind of brushes I use. So instead of answering them all individually, I'm going to kind of mesh all of them together into this one video. It's currently moving at 2 times speed, which is why it's moving so fast. And yeah. And I always work in horizontal format, or I like to work in horizontal format. I'm not sure why. Tumblr is pretty vertical oriented, but I like it. It works for me. I like the way it looks on my screen. So yeah, I usually start off with a pretty plain color. I just pick something and go. So this is, I'm planning on this going to be a PaleoPals image with Allie and Ezra running with a kite. And it's going to be a very pretty little sunset on a hill background, that kind of thing. So that's the general idea we're working for here. And I like to use Kyle's brushes. Now, a lot of people ask about brushes. Brushes, they don't really matter. I mean, you could use whatever heck brushes. For the first couple of years of using Photoshop, I used only like default brushes, and I didn't really use anything else. But now I use Kyle's brushes, Kyle's Ultimate Brush Pack, something like that. You can just look it up. I'm sure you'll find it. Kyle Webster is the guy. His pack is amazing. You had to pay for it, but totally worth it, even though I only use like 3 out of the 37 brushes or whatever that it is. Oh, I should probably talk what I'm doing. Okay, so I always start out, well, I usually start out, you know, it changes depending on the piece, but I usually start off with like a plain color of the base that I'm thinking of, and kind of lay on just some color with, I mean, my process is pretty random, you know, color just, there's no like way I pick it, except that it just kind of looks good to me, which I guess should be the way you do it. So, clouds are fun to do, and Kyle's Ultimate Pack comes with a nice smudge tool that I use to, there's little lines in the clouds that are kind of like make it look more organic, which I do like. So, yeah, I'm starting to paint the hills now. Yeah. It's not much of a, you know, I don't really have much more to say beyond that, really. I use the 2B pencil a lot. 2B 10 pixel pencil, slightly edited. Use that a lot. That's what I use for most of my things. So we have a nice sunset background. Putting on some shading on the grass. I use a lot of clipping masks. Clipping masks are my lifeblood. Before I discovered them, I don't know what the heck I did, but using clipping masks allows you to, if you don't know, like, lock the pixels so that if you paint like a shape, like an outline of, or a silhouette of a thing, then you can just turn on a clipping mask and paint inside of it without having to worry about coloring outside of the lines. It's like coloring for big boys. For professionals like me. Haha, that is funny. And it's really wonderful, and I really like working like silhouette style, so when I paint stuff, I often just like paint the silhouette, and that looks good. I'm like, okay, that looks good, and then just go back into the clipping mask of it, or make a clipping mask on it and just paint. You know, it works pretty well. Occasionally, like for example the Shovel Knight picture I did a while back, I will like do a whole sketch in grayscale, and then I paint it on like one layer. I like did not use multiple layers with clipping masks and stuff like that. I just wanted to make it look more traditional, which is what I did. And I thought it looked okay, but usually what I do, for simplicity's sake and for ease on my editing ability and stuff like that, I do lots of layers with clipping masks for each of them, just so the shading is easier on me. That's what I do for characters, that's what I do for backgrounds a lot of the time. It's funny because when I started using Flash 5, is it? From 2000 on a little tiny bamboo tablet, and what I did in that, you know, I did mostly line art and stuff, so like, I've gone a pretty big reversal, as you may have noticed. Most of my stuff doesn't have lines. I mostly do color and work with that, so it's quite a big difference. But really, either, like, I'm much more comfortable with doing non-line art, but line art is wonderful too. I'm just not that great at it, and some people are incredible at it. I don't fathom how they do it. Anyway, I'm painting little cycad-y type things. You know, I look at reference all the time. I pull up little prehistoric plants and stuff for PaleoPals and things like that, so just trying to get a little vibe of that going on. Cycads, they're like a pre-coniferous type of... Oh, why am I talking about that? Anyway, I'm painting the leaves. So the leaves are on a separate layer from the cone type thingies, and I just paint on all net using the 2B 10 pixel pencil, which I use for almost everything. It's really, like, I use 3 or 4 out of the Kyle's Ultimate Pack brushes almost exclusively, and very rarely use the other ones, but they're all great. But I use the 2B 10 pixel for mostly everything. There's one called the Deliciously Dry brush, which indeed is deliciously dry, and I use that for like sky trails and grass effects and stuff like that. Then there's one that's like a watercolor huge wash, which is nice for clouds and stuff like that. Quite pleasant. What else is there? honestly, oh, there's one called Pastelpalooza, which I believe is free. You might want to check on that, but that one's terrific too. I do like that one a lot. So if you're strapped in the cash, that's a good choice. So anyways, I'm smudging the clouds in the background a little bit. I went back to them. Yeah. And there's going to be a nice hill in the front, and Allie and Ezra are going to be running with a kite. Oh, it's just going to be so lovely. Just going to be so lovely. Oh yeah, so there's the difficulty dry brush. Made a little cloudy sky trail kind of thing. And, yeah. Now, normally when I'm working on something, I'm not this focused. I did this for a recording, so like I was like, I can't open any other windows, I can't procrastinate that much, I'm just gonna do it. So I can compress it and make it, you know, nice and watchable. Ordinarily, I like have Chrome open, I'm listening to Game Grumps on one tab, or like I'm listening to Spotify, listening to some cool music, and I get distracted a lot, checking my mail and all that sort of stuff. Well, just like every artist does, I suppose. But for this one, I was singularly focused. If you know, say that, I guess. But it's kind of nerve-wracking, actually, recording a thing and like knowing that it's going to be recorded and going to be put online and everyone can see like your little brush strokes and stuff. Like for example, I like didn't like the way that the grass in the front looked right there, so I was like, oh no, I'm gonna change the colors and stuff. I mean, well, art is a multitudinously changing, and you just gotta like go with it, I guess, is what I might say. I mean, I'm just sounding like a complete fool right now. Anyway, yeah, so stuff I like to have on the side. I watch lots of Game Grumps, lots of Let's Plays on YouTube, plenty of live concerts. Like just yesterday when I was working on my Game Grumps animated, I found the time to watch an entire Justin Timberlake concert, an hour and 40 minutes, live in Lisbon. It was amazing. His band is just rocking. The horn section's got moves, he's got moves, everyone's got moves in that band. Ooh, they're terrific. Yeah, mostly I listen to jazz and old-time jazz and stuff, but he's got style. Anyway, that's not relevant either. So when I paint characters, I like to do the silhouette, as I said before. Silhouettes make it as long so you can tell it's readable and stuff. Like, I like to build on them and stuff. So I'll paint their darkest color, oftentimes. I mean, it depends what I do. But in this case, I painted their darkest color, paint their silhouettes, their general, like, colors, and then go in and add lighting and shading, and all that sort of goodness. So, Allie, the rambunctious young Allosaur, is going to be running in front with the kite, while Ezra runs up behind her. So I was working on pages, as you can see at the top little tabs, if you can like zoom in on those, they're all PaleoPals pages. I've been working on them like pretty hard, so I'll post a link to the full comic when it's finished. It's pretty great. So that's why I decided to paint a PaleoPal picture in this one anyway. Yeah. So that's, I think I answered most of the questions I've been like getting. Like, so I started out, okay, let me answer one more question, is how I started out. I started out, we did not go to art school at all. I went to engineering. Like, I went to Tufts University for civil engineering, and, you know, you wouldn't be able to tell now, obviously. Like, it's not like I paint bridges and stuff like that, although I do love them. I started out with, you know, as I said before, a small, little tiny graphite tablet. They don't even make those anymore. And an old copy of Flash, which my mom got from her work. She asked her colleague if, like, the webmaster or something of her company, and they had it, like, a really old copy. Was like, you can use this. So I got that, put it on my computer, and used that for like 2 or 3 years. Just like, I copied frames from lots of cartoons. I like Warner Brothers cartoons. I did a lot of like little construction things. I was a big follower of John K's blog, Creative Ren and Stimpy, for a long time, and I did a lot of exercise from that before it got kind of boring. I mean, his blog, not the exercise. The exercise is still good. So I did that. Then I discovered Cucumber Quest. And my mind was blown. I was like, I have to learn Photoshop. I want to make my art look like this. And if you go back in my blog to like the very beginning, it's like the very beginning when I was starting to learn Photoshop. So like, I was not anywhere like near as experienced on it as I like have yet had to become. But I like just stuck to it, learned about all sorts of things, and here we are today, making a webcomic, and just like Gigi. She's amazing. You should go read Cucumber Quest if you haven't yet. Anyway, here I am painting a kite. A kite. It's gonna be there eventually. Oh yeah, so one of the things I forgot to mention, one of the tools I like to use is setting, as you can see in the top left corner, I use the Syntec Companion. it's amazing, except for the power charger, which has been the most finicky thing I've ever experienced in my life. But I love it because I set the buttons 1 to alt and 1 to undo. So everyone uses an undo button, you know, that's like, if you don't do that, I don't know how you can work on it digitally without having an undo. But if you have 1 to alt, you can use the pen, and if you hold the click and hold alt, you can resize your brush. And if you just hold alt, you can like ink drop the color. So using those two together lets me like work really quickly. I can resize the brush really quickly. Like you hardly even notice it probably. And I drop the colors really quickly too. So like it just makes this whole process faster. So yeah, you know, that pretty much like explains everything. I'm trying to think if there are any other questions I haven't answered that I've been getting a lot. Thank you all for your support, really. Like, there's been a lot of nice questions, a lot of nice asks, and just a lot of support. And I'm glad that I can be, you know, an artist that you look up to in the end. The amount of talent out there is just ridiculous. Like, I am humbled every day at how much crazy stuff is being done. So I'm just gonna keep working at it. And yeah, so the piece is done. About 25 minutes, I guess, total. And thanks for watching Louie's Fun Drawing Times. See you next time.